So let's hop right into it. This is everything you get with the Rhino Racing Shark rear transmission. This is everything that came with it. I'm also going to be adding a belt drive system to it, so there'll be a few things that are slightly different with this build. But for the most part, it will be pretty straightforward. I am building a fresh kit out of a Yokomo RD 1.0, so I have some fresh parts I'll be using for it. Some things you need to think about when you're building one of these and buying one is whether or not you want to run a 3 or a 4 gear. Because if you want to run a 4 gear setup, you're going to need to purchase another idler if you would like to do that. If you plan on running a belt drive, like this new system that just came out for the Rhino Racing Shark, you will need to purchase this kit, and it will no longer use the one that came with the Rhino Racing Shark kit. We got a manual that shows how to do all of this build, how it all pieces together, so I'll be working off of that. Hopefully you can see that. Pause it if you need to, take a picture. You can also go download this from Rhino Racing. But yeah, so we're going to be following this sheet right here, and we're going to start figuring out what goes to what. Alright, so here's the case right here. We'll start there. The case is going to install right here on the chassis, like so. It moves the rear shocks back a bit, which is a nice feature for the weight transfer and just driving style of this kit, which is cool. What else? Just a bunch of the stuff is all pre-built, which is surprising. Alright, gear diff. Sounds like oil, feels like oil. We're just going to run it. We're going to send it. I don't really feel like doing that much extra work. So, we'll go with that. Now these are the bearings that come with the kit, so these will be going around this, I'm sure. Now with this belt drive on this system that I'm adding, it does come with a different top shaft. So we will be foregoing the original and adding just this new one right here because it's got the channel for the actual belt itself. I don't have an opinion on the belt drive yet. I will have one down the road, but for now we are installing to test. So we'll keep that off to the side. We'll take this other shaft over here, need this and this, and let's figure out how to piece this together. So here's the rear end. No, actually that's the front. This will go like so. That's the rear. Bearing here. Come on. So it doesn't like me. I got this bearing seated all the way down. So, perfect. Now make sure that's seated all the way because you can have some issues with tolerance down the road a little bit if you do not. Good and good. This is gonna ride. This will ride right inside of this channel between these two. Like so. So we're going to need to do some spacing and do some adjusting once we're there. So we'll work like this is away from me at this point. That's how the instructions kind of lay it out. Pull my car out as a reference. As you can see, I have one already. This is going to be number 2, so I'm going to try to get a little bit of an idea of the proper way to put this together. Quick interruption, I did this a little bit wrong. I need to switch this because it is going to match my car. The way I'm setting it up now would be if the motor was on the other side for a 4-gear setup, which it is not because we are replacing the actual middle idler gear. So it's actually going to be a little bit different. It's almost going to be a 2-gear system. Get that put on that side, and we're going to match this up to my car almost exactly. So top shaft, like I said, just slots into this here. Take a couple more things from the belt drive. Start pulling those out and over. Get that all there. Yes, after double checking, it is going to go in that location with the double bearing. to support it. This is kind of where this belt might come into play. So let's see, belt will go here, like so. We need to install these two rings. You can tell the guide rings for the actual belt. That's going to slide over like so. As you can see, right onto there. I believe we can slide this belt on like so. This cup will go over it as well. Just gives it a nice little ring to ride in. That's how you turn your shark into a belt drive shark. Alright, so this will then go over this like so. You can see the belt's on there. The only thing dragging is that bearing, which helps tension it so that you can't skip teeth. Okay. So at this point, if you were not doing a belt drive, you would put an idler gear here as well as one here. You would find the right spacing for it, which would then line up with the stock Shark top shaft. But we're not doing that, so you're going to skip it. You could run a 3 or a 4 gear. I like a 3 gear, it felt nice. I couldn't try a 4 gear now, which I might do now that I have an extra idler. So I'll see in my original build what we do with that. But for now, we're going belt drive, and this is the process. Alright, so once that's there, we really are pretty close. There's not much to it. It's a very, very simple kit, which is impressive. At least the Rhino Racing side of things. And the Yokomo side of things, that's incredibly well put together. I'm impressed with that as well. Alright, so that's the transmission put together with the belt drive. Okay, I stripped it back down just to get some good idea what's going on, why it's not working for me. Let's pin in here. This front slot, washer, 2 bearings that came with the belt drive kit, another washer, checking this side. Okay, I see. The bearing is slipped all the way through. Also missing a bearing, which is unfortunate, but I might be lucky because I think I have one from my last kit. Let's see. Alright, I hope you guys aren't missing anything in your packages. I might not be missing it, I just might be, I don't know where it's at. Should be everything. Let's see. But it looked like I was missing one of these flange bearings in my kit. There was a bearing, but not the correct one, so it looked right, but it wasn't actually right. Okay, so now I'm going to take my flange bearing. I'm going to take a washer, installed onto here like so. You can see that. Flange bearing in there. This will actually press against the opposite side of the transmission from the looks of it, like so. With that engraved part out. That is then where your motor plate will come in. Put that there where we want it. I'm going to go 2 holes from all the way back. We're going to feed our screws through. Yeah. Seeing how things fit together. Shaft will go all the way through. That flange bearing we put on. Like so. Let's try again. I do see the issue. Plenty of those with fewer instructions. This screw is actually protruding up through and not letting that pin set in, so we're gonna just back that out, and I should be able to replace it with this one because that one looks shorter. Let's try. Yep, it is much shorter, so we're gonna swap these two. There. So the shorter screw is gonna go in the middle of the motor plate 3. Got everything lined up with the belt drive. Make sure that bearing doesn't get pressed out. Start feeding it. Get this all together. Okay, everything's moving. We're going to find our pin for this, for our spur gear, and throw that on. Add this all together. In the meantime, spur gear on to that pin. Feels really good. It feels much better than the first time getting it all put together. I was also missing a bearing, which made it a little bit tough. Let's get this tightened down. Okay. All good. This is where this rear cover comes into play. Like so. And that should be the whole transmission. We'll get our screws put into this. It's these short flathead ones. And those also act as a quick change. Obviously with this belt drive, I don't think it's going to be as quick change as before. But hopefully it doesn't need to be. That'd be nice. Alright, we're going to get the other two on the other side. So on the front of this transmission is where this triangular block comes into play. Things are just got to move around a little bit tight. You got to make them a little bit adjusted. Alright. Everything's still moving. A little bit of resistance. Alright, so I find my first spot. I got to make some adjustments on this transmission to get it dialed in. If you can see, it kind of slides back and forth. So I'm going to need to use a couple of the shims that came with it in the kit to get that adjusted. There's one trouble of the belt drive is you do have to take this whole thing apart. There's got to be a better way to do it though. I don't know. We shall see. I think I'm just going to take this opposite side off real quick. I don't want it to work too hard. Real quick. That. Take this top shaft screw out too. This should slide off. Like so. This is what we need to shim up on the outsides. They do include shims. Let's take a couple of those, see what we want to use. I've got two thicker ones and I've got two thinner ones. Shims need to go inside of the bearings, not on the outside of the bearings. Okay, it's the next day. I got the washers, or I'm sorry, the bearings off of the gear diff. We are going to now throw these washers on the inside. Made that slight mistake the last time. Pop this back off again and start over. I'll just go 2 thin ones. It might, that's kind of what it looks like it, right? It might work. Our little bearing pin, our washer, our 1 bearing, 2 bearings. Take the other washer that goes onto here. No one's having real issues yet. A couple people have, but I think it might have been a setup error, so hopefully people start getting it figured out. Alright, that's back on. Let's get this belt back on. Okay, everything's fitting right. Less slop than last time. Let's throw this little back cover in, see how that goes. Once you get this back on the car, it'll fit a little bit better. For now, though, you're just trying to get all these tolerances to meet. Like so. Snap that in. Okay, I think we're on the home stretch of this transmission. Okay, so if you're building a transmission with a belt drive, 2 things that you're not going to be using, as well as this idler. If you're working from a brand new kit, these are the things that you're going to not be using any of. Here's the original top shaft for the Shark. That's the top shaft right there for the RD 1.0. There's the idler gear. That's good to have though in case you ever want to convert back, so keep that in your bearings. And we shall get this installed to the back of the car. Okay, let's see. Alright, so we're going to get this chassis or this transmission installed onto this chassis. Pretty self-explanatory. Just line up your transmission holes. There's 2 screws. Yeah, we'll have to see how we like this belt drive system, see if it works out for us.